Alright, what is going on, guys? Got another breakdown for UFC 271. This one's on the main card at middleweight. Got Derek Brunson taking on Jared Cannonier in a title eliminator. Awesome fight. Was originally supposed to go down at UFC 270, but it got rescheduled for this one. So, winner of this one will probably get the winner of Adesanya versus Whitaker. Unless maybe Whitaker wins and then one of them has to wait, which would suck because both of them have been grinding towards a title shot for a long time. But in terms of the physicals, about even on reach. Brunson's going to have a 2-inch advantage in reach. Brunson been training at Sanford MMA a lot over these last couple years. Cannonier MMA Lab, so two high-level gyms. But I will start with Jared Cannonier. Coming off of a 5-round decision win against Kelvin Gastelum, where he had a couple big knockdowns. Kind of a low output fight. At times, Gastelum looked good. I thought Gastelum won 2 rounds. That's how the judges saw it too. 3-2 for Cannonier, basically courtesy of the knockdowns. He did outland Gastelum a lot, but I mean in most of the rounds, but it was a pretty low output fight overall. But yeah, Cannonier has very heavy hands. Used to fight at heavyweight and light heavyweight, so he's just enormous. He's just enormous at middleweight. Very strong, and yeah, it's definitely his natural weight class. He's been pretty much unstoppable at this weight class. The lone loss coming to Robert Whitaker, and very acceptable. Whitaker was just in and out. The jab was the story of that fight, double jab too, but he did hurt him pretty bad with his signature combination. But other than that, it's been pretty dominant for Jared Cannonier at middleweight. KOs, David Branch stuffs the takedowns well in that one. Brutal leg injury to Anderson Silva in Brazil. Uh, One of the many, or at least two, brutal leg injuries that we've seen from Anderson Silva. But yeah, that was the win that really kind of put his name on the map. And then huge win against Jack Hermanson, dominant in Jack Hermanson's home turf. So he's had a couple wins like that. But yeah, he stuffs the takedowns really well. Just gets some heavy ground and pound in the second. Gets him out of there. I'd say he won the first round too pretty handily. So yeah, it's been a very good run at middleweight for Jared Cannonier. Not super active. He's had a couple fights fall through due to injuries. Some on his side, some on his opponent's side. But yeah, he's here in a title eliminator, 38 years old. Does have some losses at the other weight classes, but they're all two really good fighters. Jan Blachowicz, Dominic Reyes. He fought Ian Kutalaba on the Ultimate Fighter finale. I think he won that fight. So yeah, he's fought a lot of big names, been around for a while, but yeah, stylistically he's got very heavy hands. Not a ton of output, mostly looks to counter, but he's got very heavy leg kicks. Those present a lot of problems. And he's got very good takedown defense at this weight class. The thing at middleweight for Jared Cannonier is he's just stronger than most middleweights. Um, it's definitely his natural weight class, and he has that veteran know-how. And yeah, a lot of things have just aligned for him on this run. The one thing I will say is he is a little bit, I don't want to say inactive, but he doesn't fight all that often. So sometimes it's hard when you're just kind of sitting up there at the top of the division. Sometimes it can be hard to read how good a fighter really is, but I think that Cannonier is worthy of being top three in this division. I think he earns his number. There's just not a lot of fighters in this top tier for middleweight, but yeah, not the biggest output, but very heavy hands, good takedown defense, good uppercuts, good leg kicks, and does a lot of damage in close. Not the fastest, but segueing into Derek Brunson, another guy who has just put it together late, riding a 5-fight winning streak here, and has worked the wrestling to some degree in just about every fight on this win streak. That's the thing with Derek Brunson. He's got a ton of UFC fights, and before he's been knocked out a couple times. His style kind of lends to it. He does leave his chin kind of up. He's kind of cumbersome sometimes when he falls back. So, against Adesanya, it's a bad matchup. He's been KO'd a couple times, but since he's gotten on this winning streak, he's moved to higher level gyms, and it definitely shows. And in the past couple fights, his ground and pound has really been on point. Against Edmund Shabazian, the ground and pound was brutal. Probably could have gotten him out of there in the second, but uh, it didn't take long in the third before Shabazian was finished. Against Kevin Holland, we've seen Kevin Holland ran into a brick wall with the grapplers, and then Darren Till gets the rear naked choke in round three after a dominant round one and two where he landed a ton of ground and pound. I think like 70 ground strikes. Had Till's right eye basically welted shut. The ground and pound definitely seems to have come a long way with Brunson. It's definitely punishing. He's got great entries. He's very heavy on top and in the clinch. We talked about how Cannonier is strong for this weight class. Brunson is very strong for this weight class as well. He does tend to gas out every once in a while. His fighting style is quite exhausting, so it's excusable. But yeah, solid 5 fight winning streak here. Other than Elias Theodoro, these are all very solid UFC names. But at the same time, Edmund Shabazian, Kevin Holland, Darren Till, these were all great matchups for Brunson, and I believe he was an underdog in just about all of them. The only one where I don't know if he was an underdog was the Kevin Holland fight, but I think he was in that one too. Yeah, he was an underdog in that. He's close to a plus 200 underdog in all these fights. It doesn't really make sense to me because I liked the idea of Brunson in all of these, except for Kevin Holland, I'll be real. But against Darren Till, Darren Till has good takedown defense, but if he gets taken down, he's toast. That's a bad matchup against Eric Brunson. Edmund Shabazian, as we've seen now, can't really handle the wrestlers. Even Nasruddin Imavov was able to handle him on the ground quite easily. Kevin Holland has worked on it a lot, but he ran into a brick wall with the wrestlers, like we said. So it's three very winnable matchups for Brunson, which is what has me worried a little bit. But striking wise, primarily a southpaw, does have some deceptive power. He's got a lot of power in his hands, good hooks, straight lefts. I don't think his kicking game is all that great. He leaves a lot of room to get countered, so I wish he just wouldn't throw them at all. But every once in a while, it's deceptive, just anything he throws over the top because it gets people worried about the takedown so much. But yeah, I think we can say that Derek Brunson has the best wrestling acumen in the division. I think we can say that he can chain wrestle. Like I said, sometimes he does tend to fade at the end of his fights, but it's because he pushes such a high pace. And yeah, it's gonna come down to can Cannonier defend the takedowns, and he's shown a very good ability to do it so far. But like I was just saying, I think Bronson is the best power wrestler in the division, or just has the best wrestling technique. He can chain wrestle. He's got a wide variety of takedowns, really heavy double legs. He's got a few body slams, very heavy on this run he's been on here. And like I said, deceptively heavy hands that can do a lot of problems after he's established the wrestling or at least the threat of the takedown. That's when his striking seems to be at its most dangerous. But if we look at the odds for this fight, we got Derek Brunson at plus 142, Jared Cannonier minus 176. Money seems to be coming in on Brunson. And it's a really tough matchup. It's one of those where you hate to see somebody lose because both of these guys are vets who put it together late. So you'd hate to see either guy have their run here come to an end. But I think a lot of this fight points to a dog or pass situation. And I think that the value on Brunson is definitely there. I'm going to take a shot at Brunson, but it's a really close matchup. I did my due diligence on tape study with Cannonier, and he's deceptively very good. I mean, I know we all know he's very good, but with this tape study, I wanted to, figure out why he's good, like what makes him so good at middleweight. And he's just got heavy hands, man. He lands the heavier shots. He's got good takedown defense. He's got good uppercuts. It's very possible that Brunson just drives into an uppercut, or he can't get the takedown. He gets tired. Cannonier gains some confidence. But what it comes down to for me is I think that Brunson can make this fight ugly. Jared Cannonier, not a ton of output. He looks to counter a lot. And I just think that Brunson can grind out a decision, just driving into the fence, just landing some touching shots, some chipping ground and pound in the clinch. I do think he's going to get a couple takedowns here. Cannonier, again, very good takedown defense and good get up ability at this weight class, but Again, just not a ton of output. So I could see Derek Brunson just making this ugly. And I know that Derek Brunson has kind of been chinny in the past. Like I said, he leans back too much, but he didn't get KO'd by Darren Till, who's a much rangier striker. He didn't get KO'd by Ian Heinisch, who's got more speed. Jared Cannonier has heavy hands when he looks to counter. Brunson times his entries very well. He's been in fights before that are slower, lower output, and he's kept his pace well in those fights. I don't think he's going to be forcing anything against Jared Cannonier. Going to get countered. And I just think that Brunson can just do a little bit more and grind out a decision here. But it's very possible that Cannonier finds a power uppercut, big knee, something. And the other thing I haven't talked about much for Cannonier, the leg kicks could be a big problem. Brunson has had issues with leg kicks in the past. It kind of intimidates him from shooting his takedown game. But I just think that Brunson is going to be able to make this fight ugly, and it's not going to be a huge wager for me. But dog or pass, I'm going with Blonde Brunson. So thanks for watching, guys. Sure, subscribe and take it easy.